putting me in that pressure cooker also made me excel at SNL because, a lot of people just have a one-year run and you never know they was on the show. They was just a feature player, so they never get on. But just to be able to do 3 years on Saturday Night Live, that was like huge for me in my career.
We run the whole gamut of African American culture, but our goal is to capture the new Black film revolution. So talk a lot about comedy, SNL, and then just the movie business in general.
Okay.
Everything's good? All right, so before we forget, if you look right into the lens, say your name and say you're watching Real Black.
I'm watching The Real Black.
My name is Finesse Mitchell, and you're watching Real Black.
My name is Finesse Mitchell, and you're watching The Real Black.
Okay. Single shot, once you look great.
Thank you.
So how does it feel being a best-selling author?
Oh man, it feels wonderful. I think it's just a blessing that how the opportunity came about. When I was in my last year in SNL, the Women of Essence magazine came to me and asked me to be a part of an ensemble of guys writing women relationship advice for this little piece they were doing. And they liked my answers to my questions so much, they asked me to do it again on my own. And then that got a good response from their subscribers. And next thing I know, they're offering me my own column. So somebody saw the column and was a big fan of it and said you should get a book and helped me put a book treatment together. We submitted it. Your girlfriends only know so much. Bam!
So, is that how it works?
I don't think it works like that for everybody, because it's almost like the music industry. You can ask 50 million people how they got signed and everybody will say something different. So I know there are people who've been out there writing for years, and they just get to the point where they get so frustrated because they can't get that hookup or whatever, or that right connect. And they ask me, and they say, how did you do it? Or, can you help? And I'm like, I promise you, I have no idea how I made that happen. It was just grace of God, I guess.
I understand that. Tell me a little bit what's inside those 202 pages.
Well, Your Girlfriends Only Know So Much, Your Brother's Take on Mating and Dating for Sisters. It's one of those, it's a book that basically is comedic, so it's a page turner, but it's truthful. It gives you the information you need to know. So it's not like it's revealing secrets or anything like that, but it's a really precise, mapped out blueprint of how you pump yourself up first and foremost, get your self-esteem together and just look inward for anything that might be holding you back socially. And then it goes into, what type of man do you want, putting that list together. Is the list realistic? Goes into dating, where to get out, where to go, what might be good spots, what might be bad spots. Then it goes into actually meeting somebody, when to have sex, when not to have sex, because that's always a big, hang up with couples. And then once you realize you do like each other, the communication you have between each other, how sometimes it can help, sometimes it can hurt, and you try to, pinpoint what a lot of people do wrong in relationships as far as communicating. And then it talks about, and then there's this big surprise ending, but the ending is about different guys. I went to I think 20 different guys or 40 different guys and asked them, age, occupation, how did they meet the love of their life, when did they know she was the one, and then the moment they was going to propose, and then how they did it. And so that's how it pretty much ends off.
That's on your video label is another movie called Soulmate that addresses issues like as women get older, there are fewer and fewer men in their life.
Right.
To choose from. So I take it you.
That's why they got cougars.
It's the opposite of the game or whatever, like what guys do. It's the opposite of that kind of thing. So, what sort of insight do you have? Did you come at it from the player's point of view, like how to avoid guys like me or being raised by women? Did that inform?
Both. I think being raised by my mom predominantly and just always being social my whole life and living in Atlanta and just being woven into that fabric of, Atlanta has its middle class and it's like, it has its upper class and it has its class right below the upper, but right above the middle. And a lot of kids were getting bused from bad neighborhoods to good neighborhoods to go to school. And so you were interacting with, white kids early, and so you didn't have any trouble adjusting the older you got. And so being able to communicate with everybody, no matter where I went, it was just always easy for me. So, That being said, it was easy to talk to women. It was easy to, get women to like you, and then you had a lot of I would have a lot of girlfriends. And then throughout the years of playing football for the University of Miami, and then pledging Kappa and being like the party central dude on my campus at the time, and then going into sales because I always had to talk to people, and then just moving from city to city. Because once I realized I wanted to do comedy, I started in Miami, bounced back to Atlanta, then went out to LA, kind of got discovered in LA for a New York job, which was Saturday Night Live. So I had to move back. I moved out to New York, and then I did New York. And I did New York the best way you could possibly ever do New York, which was, limos and television. And that was probably one of the best times of my life and the highlights of, my career.
We'll talk about that. In your first stand-up special, you kind of talk about women. Like, sometimes you got to be the thug. In relationships, I mean, you're not always going to be the good guy in a relationship in terms of communicating. There's an unspoken language where you can get away with certain things. In the black code,
Right.
you get arrested for.
Right.
If in the white code, I mean,
People get comfortable with each other, and we have our own way of communicating. Everybody knows that. Things that we call a term of endearment, we wouldn't want anybody else to say, or just the way we would treat our woman, and the way she would treat us. Other people would look at that and just be like, "That's crazy," or "That's disrespectful," or "That's loud." But that's what we do. That's what a lot of couples do. And yeah, man, absolutely.
so SNL. One of the first movies I did when I was at NYU was on Chris Rock. It was like a little 10-minute doc. So we've stayed friends ever since. I've definitely tracked his career, and like it was a lot of pressure for him when he got on because he was the first black guy after Eddie Murphy. So it was real tough. What was your experience like, and what's the secret to staying on the show or getting
SNL?
not being the guy on at 11:55?
Yeah,
Or 12:55, the last slot.
there's really no successful way to do SNL unless you just really, you hit a home run or pretty much hit a home run every time you're on air. Of course, that's a given. But then other than that, the politics and just the way they choose the sketches that will air, some people will get more play than others. Some people are the star of the show, and people tune in to see certain characters. So we put those people forward. But it's all about breaking in. So some people get to break a little bit harder and faster and shinier than others, and some people, get other opportunities and then they move on.
This is better in my eyes. You look great. Really.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I read a lot about Saturday Night Live. So, is it like linking up with the writers and getting them to write material for you?
Yeah, like everybody is responsible for writing. So if you don't know how to write, you're going to learn by the time you leave. So I would write my sketches. Keenan Thompson would write his sketches. J.B. Smoove at the time, he was a writer when we came on. He would write sketches. We would all collaborate, and then everybody would sit with whoever. It's just like high school. We start from like 8 o'clock in the evening. We go into the morning, just going from office to office, trying to collab with somebody, trying to come up with something funny. And so that's the whole process of it.
So was it like comedy university? A lot of people say that.
Yeah, I mean.
It's the best time of your life. Tell me why.
It's just when it comes to the reputation of a 30-year program that's been on air. I mean, Saturday Night Live, from generations, anybody you can talk to, and you mention it, somebody has their favorite person, character, sketch, and the people that have been through SNL, it's easier to name the people who haven't been on SNL than the people who have been a part of SNL. Because after Eddie Murphy, they also had Damon Wayans, and he didn't last for a very long time. But then they had Tim Meadows and then Chris Rock, Tracy Morgan, and this guy Dean Edwards, Keenan, myself, and so and Garrett Morris, started it off. You go there, I think everybody goes there, especially if you're black. You say, I want to be next to Eddie Murphy. I want to be next to Eddie Murphy. Like, woo! And then when it doesn't necessarily work out that way for whatever reason, you say, okay, I just want to get on tonight, And then you realize it's a process,
So now you just want to get on.
Right.
And then you discover the politics.
Yeah.
But you still make your mark.
You make your mark. Everybody watches it. You know what I mean? Everybody tunes into it one day. You know what I mean? So if they see you for a second, a lot of people just say, I saw you, because they just needed that proof that, man, you are on the show, you know.
And that's what makes you snap famous.
There it is, because people see me and they're like, Derek Fisher. You're like, man, ain't no Derek Fisher, you know.
So that was your first act. What are you talking about now? I mean, that was like 3 years ago, snap famous. What's the act about?
Right now, it's about, it's one big story. It's like people think, one thing about my act is that people think it happens naturally. You know, people think it's just, but it's like I know it, you know what I mean? I know what's gonna go where, I just don't know when I'm gonna say it. And when I pull people into the show, it makes it that more fun. So I talk about politics because that's just heavy on my mind right now, the economy. I talk about relationships, of course, and then just, you know, and just good jokes. You know, my personal life, I just got married in September, so, you know, trying to live with a woman and realizing that, you know, you probably can't get rid of her because you're scared of every time you watch CSI, you know they're going to catch them. So if they're going to catch them people, they're going to catch me. I ain't cleaning up no blood. No, I'm just kidding, baby. But
Let me just go through the last. I have like 2 more notes here. So we talked about rights for women. Talk about. So if you had one secret for if somebody were to watch this and have that dream of being on SNL, what, black or white, what's your one word of advice?
I would say develop original characters. I would say, you know, work on your impersonations. You know, because with me, I just went in as a comedian. I went in like Rock. I went in like Jay Moore. Different people who just stand-up comics. So if Hillary Swank is the star of the show that week, and they come up to you and say, Finesse, you're Morgan Freeman. You know, you better go home and practice. I'm Morgan Freeman. Every day is not a day that don't go. I don't know. I don't know. I ain't done Morgan in a long time. My bad. But yeah, man, you just get in the mirror and start practicing and get the tapes and just start listening. And I think all that.
It has. I mean, I had a similar experience.
So when people want to go that route in their career, because a lot of people aspire to be on SNL, get a tape, 7 minutes, put your best 7 minutes on it, send it in to Lauren Michaels, and they call back. If they watch all those tapes. So if they like somebody, they call back.
Awesome. That's good to know. It's insider information. You can't pay for that. You can watch it for free on YouTube. And yeah, just to go over, this is the last thing. Just the mimicry of women. Again, I think it's so great. And the specials. I mean, where do you pick that up from?
Just watching women. Just watching them. I love women to death. So, you know, when you just always up under them and you watching them from you know, there's all types, whites, you know, blacks, Hispanics. You know, you watch their mannerisms, and I'm such a observationalist when it comes to my comedy that I want to, it's funnier if I act it out. You know, I could sit there and tell you the joke, but if I could be the characters in the joke, then I'm painting you a picture and you're sitting there watching, and by the time I'm done, you're like, that was good. You didn't realize it was a joke because you just got caught up in it. I find it funny, I find it easy, and so that's kind of my shtick, you know.
And I lied, I had 2 more questions. So one about the Hurricanes, how playing on a football team relates to being on SNL. And then any final thoughts, plans for future hopes?
Football and just organized sports, period, you know, helped shape my life. I would advise any parent to please get their kids involved in some organized sports. Because then, you know, by the time, you'll never know if you got a star. You never know if you got LeBron James, unless you put, you know, you can go to school and study, but put a basketball in his hand. And so, you know, making it to the University of Miami and being on that team when they were winning championships, man, that was just watching it. Football at that level made me more competitive, made me more outgoing, because you meet people from all over the country who think they the shit. So, you know, you got to act like you shit too if you're going to, you know, fit in. And, you know, and then your name Finesse. So, you know, you really got to walk with a little swagger, or else, you know, they think of it, you know, it wouldn't be nice, you know what I mean? So, you know, putting me in that pressure cooker also made me excel at SNL, because, you know, a lot of people just have a 1-year run and you never know they was on the show. They, you know, they was just a feature player, so they never get on. But just to be able to do 3 years on Saturday Night Live, you know, that was like huge for me in my career, because people know me from so many different things. I walk through the airport and white people like, Finesse, Saturday Night Live, and black people like Tyra, Essence, and some people still like BT because they think that's all I've ever done, you know. But I like that, and so pretty soon it won't be Snap famous. It'll be like, what up, Finesse?
Future movies, plans?
Yeah, I'm adapting the book. Your girlfriends only know so much into a movie, and I'm continue to write for Essence and get ready for the Essence Music Festival, July the 3rd through the 5th. He'll keep calling me and saying, "Finesse, promote that." So, and I just have a lot of projects in my head that it's just time to put them on paper. I took a little hiatus, and now I'm back in the clubs, back at the corporate events, back at the colleges, and just doing shows because I'm about to put a very nasty, beastly stand-up special out. And when it come out, it's gonna be a wrap. Everybody gonna have to move over a little bit, cause I'm coming, baby. Bam.
Good stuff. All right.
Cool.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Facebook me, MySpace me. Love you. Feel it. Peace.